Hey guys, so we're back again as part of how do we get a track into Dirt Free Play. So this part is after you finish your track, get it all where it needs to be, how you want it to look. Um, how do we get it ready for Dirt Free Play itself? So with Dirt Free Play, there is a style that you need to fit the racetrack to. Um, and so that looks like the following. So the track can be either a model or a folder, doesn't matter, but it needs to have a practice spawn, a race spawn, the dirt layer, the timing board. Groove is an optional separate set. For the most part, if you're going based off the last video, just forget that this part exists. And then your rest of track slash scenery. This doesn't actually need to be like this. You don't need to folder it. It's nice and clean if you do this, but you don't have to. These parts are required. Everything else doesn't really matter. Um, and then there's some additional that you can do trailers and gates, and there are specific ways that you can do that. I will go over them also in this video, but it's similar to this. Trailers and gates need to be in this kind of formatting. And so what I like to say is that these are first layer. So you have your track model, practice spawn, race spawn, dirt layer, timing board, trailers, and gate. These are all first layer objects. So they need to be directly below where we are here. So the way that works out, right, is so you have your model. Right now, you can't see the DL. It's in track. It needs to come out of there and on this level. Now, all of these things can be here like this. This is fine if you want to have it this way. Me personally, I like to group these down and do rest of track so I know they're out of the way and I can see all my first level priority models. Next up, we want to get our spawns. So we spawn in a spawn. So I did a right click, I type spawn, and then I get my spawn. I always like to make the spawn 6 by 6. That is the default size that used to be the case. When I spawned it in, you saw that it spawns in at 12 by 12. And then we want to move it. This one here is the race spawn. This is the grandstand spawn, so to speak. And then we also want our practice spawn, which is the one that goes in the outfield, in our pit area, wherever that drivers can join the game and then be able to practice the racetrack. If you want to get fancy with your spawns, you can also make them transparent, so that way you just see the decal with the ground below it. And then as a reminder, you need to encase your race spawn, because you don't want people getting out of the grandstand area. So for Plaza Park here, let's say we just take this block here, because I duplicated it out, and we make our box like so. Now once you have two parts of the box, you can grab both of them, press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then use the rotate tool to actually rotate to finish your box. And then the last thing you can do is put the roof on by duplicating and then marking the roof over. And then let's just grab all of our pieces here. We will Control G to group them together, name it InvisBox, and then select everything inside and make it transparency 1. And so now we have our invisible box to keep people from getting out. And just pushing it down into the ground a little bit so it doesn't have any gaps. So now that we have our spawns taken care of, we need to set up our timer. So you can use George the Dev NVL timer. Put this in, and then delete this chunk here. We can also delete all the scripts and the GUI because we don't need it for Dirt Free Play. And then we want to put our timing board segment wherever we want it. So in some people's cases, they like to put it up as like a scoreboard. So if we're imagining doing something like that, we want to put this up like so, and then size it to the size we want. Now, you should take a note that when you size it in a weird way like this, it will stretch. So you want to still fit this format of kind of like this kind of square-ish format. It's a bit more rectangular, a bit more height than it is width. We want to keep it somewhere in this ballpark where it doesn't look so super stretch. And then you can build up like an actual scoreboard segment behind it, like so. So just like a really simple idea for a scoreboard. And when it goes in Dirt Free Play, it will actually match up on here. Otherwise, the other thing you can do with this, if you don't really have a setup that would be good for a scoreboard, is just put it somewhere where it's kind of like out of the way or, you know, like seeable for certain reasons. So some people like to put it like on the side of buildings, like so. You could do something like that. Whatever you want to do with it, put it wherever you feel comfortable putting it. Then we're going to take our start and our sector 2. And I like to take these both at the same time, match it up on the start finish line. And if you're never really sure where your start finish line should be, a good way to do it is to take some kind of block that, like if you're building a custom track and you want it to be perfectly down the middle, take a block that spaces out across the whole thing. Duplicate that block. We'll make it taller so it stands out. Make a different color so it stands out. But then take the length here, 200, make it at 1, and then size that across. That would be where we want it, right? Now, in this case, Plaza Park actually has the flag stand a bit more down from there. So actually we want this as a good reference guide. So we will take these and we can move our sector 2 across there. So what we want to do actually to create even segments here is figure out what the distance away is. So it looks like it's about 10. So what we want to do is, so this is 10 towards that direction. We want to take our sector 2, so it looks like it's actually about 9. So we do 9 twice. We do 9 once. That's going to put it right about on the red line. And then we do 9 again. And now we put this one on the backstretch. Sector 2 goes on the backstretch. This is where the end of your sector 1 timing goes. And the reason this one is sector 2 is because we also have sector 1 as a fallback for making sure that people are going the correct direction on the racetrack. I like to move these like deep into the infield. This is to prevent when someone gets like spun out into the infield that they still get their lap. Then we take our sector 1. And once again, move that into the infield. And then our sector 3 goes in turns 3 and 4. So sector 1 goes in 1 and 2. Sector 3 goes in 3 and 4. Sector 2 goes on the backstretch, and our start line gets on the start line. Next with our timing, we want our corner cut. Corner cut always goes in the infield. Just put it in some kind of way that it's useful for what it is supposed to do, corner cut. So this is why, like, I don't really care if someone goes in the infield and tries to like get a faster lap going in the infield, because they're going to get a corner cut penalty. Now in this case, we have this berm here, so we can make the corner cut go into the berm some, and it doesn't really matter because you shouldn't be riding the berm. And so we have a singular block like this. Then next what I'll do is I will duplicate this block, bring it all the way out to here, resize this to here, and then I will just cut this back in. And now you'll notice that there is this section here. The thing is, for you to miss this block, go in here, and then come back out of here without hitting this block, that's not a shortcut anymore. You're not gaining time doing that. So that's why when you do these segments like this, it prevents someone from actually being able to write corner cut in any effective way. And so you can use only 3 corner cut blocks across the entire racetrack, and you've effectively taken away their ability to corner cut. Next up is wall ride. I mean, personally, I just like to do like one of these. I will do it right in the middle of the corner, and I resize it out to a particular size that matches what the car theoretically should be based on the car that we're going to use. A good rule of thumb, though, is to make these about 4.5. So somewhere in the 4, 4.5, or 5 range is pretty good. We'll do 5 in this case. And then what I do is I just kind of resize these out through the wall like that. And that will more or less get someone who's wall riding, like directly wall riding. In the case of Plaza Park here, we have these weird walls, so if someone wall rides, they're already going to be disadvantaged. But this is more or less how to handle that for a track that has much smoother walls where people can actually wall ride. And then once again, just kind of moving that to a point where it's going through the walls. And then our last block is our stop block. And you don't have to put wall ride on, by the way. You don't have to put corner cut on either if you don't want to, but you really should with corner cut if you have a very open infield. And then wall ride, though, a lot of tracks don't have wall ride, so you can skip it if you don't want it. Our stop blocks, though, go anywhere where a car would leave the racing surface to be like in the pits or something like that. The stop block stops your timer on your screen. It does not actually stop the timer. That lap is still going. If you go back out on the racetrack and you drive around, you can still get a lap from that. It does not actually stop the time, but it stops the time on your screen. It suggests that you left the racing surface, just for visual purposes. So now we have our timer all set up. We want to put that in, as I said, top priority object in the top of the segment there. And then lastly, we talk about our trailers. So we want our trailer spot model, which I will have linked in the description. And then we want to put our trailers wherever we need to put our trailers. Now, dirt games go up to 50 players in a hosted racing session. So if you're going to put in trailers, put in 50 of them. That just prevents any issues with like having a lot of people. So we have our anchor, which is the red spot, and we have our nose anchor, which is the blue spot. The game will always default to using the anchor, the red spot. If you don't want it to use the anchor, which is the rear end of the vehicle, you want to delete it to create a nose anchor. So in this case, I think a nose anchor would be good to get all the noses of trailers lined up with this grass line. If I'm trying to do that, then you know that you want to delete the red one and then move the blue to the side with the grass, and then we would put a bunch of these. Now alternatively, if you want it to go the other direction where you want like all the rear ends to line up together, you can just leave the nose anchor in, doesn't matter, and just line up the red blocks with one another. So the difference here is, lining up all the rear ends. So imagine some of the smaller trailers, their rear end will line up with the toter home trailer, versus lining up all the noses means that like a smaller trailer might be like deeper in between two toter home trailers because the toter homes are so much longer than the other trailers. So you can play around with that and figure out what you want to do with that. So let's say we have like a bunch of trailers all over the place, doesn't really matter. So now what you want to do to make trailers work is group all of your trailers together, name the model trailers, and once again, top priority type model. Make sure it's directly underneath the model that it is. And then the last thing that you want to know about is gates. Gates are a similar thing of just having the things in the right spots. Gates work, though, under one simple premise. It will take any block that is in a model called gate, and it will toggle them on and off. So it'll toggle the collision and also the transparency. It will only do it to parts. So if you have decal blocks on the parts, the decal will not be affected. So you want to make actual genuine parts for your gate. And so we want to name that model gate. And it will do as many parts as are in it. So you could have like 1,000,000 parts in here. It'll do all of them. Now, the big problem with that is that, for example, if your gate has fences in it or something of that nature, I'd recommend trying to figure out a way to change that from being like a decal fence like this to an actual fence piece in some way, shape, or form, however you want to do that. Because like I said, it takes all parts. So the problem would be when someone toggles the gate back to closed, your fence block is suddenly going to go like that. And then when someone toggles it open, your gate fence piece is going to look like that. So that's not very good. So that's the gate itself. And then the other thing you need is the gate button. So for a gate button, you simply put a button somewhere. And you only need to put a click detector in it. That's it. So you would right click, insert object, type in click detector, and put the click detector in. You can set up the click detector to whatever max activation distance you want. This is how close you have to be to touch it, to click it. So if it's 5, that means you need to be within 5 studs. If it's 5,000, you just need to be within 5,000 studs. So basically everyone in the game could be able to click that if it was set to 5,000. So you want to set that to maybe like 10 or 15 or 20, somewhere in a range where only people that are standing around it could click it, and then you can figure out who's clicking it when people aren't supposed to be clicking it. And then you can turn on, or well, you can set it to gate button. That's the name it needs. And once again, gate and gate button are also top priority objects, so they need to be right in the model itself. You can make this button look in whatever way you want, color it whatever way you want. You can put a surface GUI on it, so you can write, open gate or whatever. That is how you do the gates. And so at this point, at this moment right here, your model is now ready to go. This is everything that you would need. Oh, sorry, actually, caveat. Forgot one more thing. I always forget this part. You want lights. So let's go over lights real quick. So set your clock time to 0. That turns it to nighttime. Get out a block. And what I like to do with these blocks is put it right on the ground. And then after putting it right on the ground, move it about 27 studs into the sky. Then we will insert an object, a point light. We will turn shadows on. We will range it to 60. And then and make sure that your block is anchored and it is transparent and can collide false. You don't want people hitting your light block. And then we will just move this around the speedway to create lights. Very simple idea. So I'm just pressing Control D to duplicate and just moving it around to provide lighting wherever I want to provide lighting. You might also want to put like a light like above your victory lane, like right there. You might also decide to put some lights out back by the trailers. Wherever you want to put lights, put lights. You also don't have to put lights the way I'm putting lights, just put lights any way you want. You don't even have to use point lights, you can use the other type of lights. And these can be anywhere. They don't need to be in a special model. They could be inside anything. They could be inside the dirt layer. Well, but you probably shouldn't do that because that's going to mess up the dirt layer. You could put it inside the spawn. You could put it inside the timing board. That won't affect anything. You can do whatever you want with lights. It will pick up every single light object in the game, and that includes all the different types of lights. So in this case, I was using point lights. That's the one I like to use. So when we look at a point light, the object, you can see it creates this big circle. And so it's everything inside this circle is receiving light. So you can see on the ground it creates a big circle. But it's actually this sphere of light. So everything inside here would be lit up. And the closer you get to the center of that sphere, this block right here in the middle, the brighter it will be. So if we look at that, let me remove the light out of this block. So you can see as I'm like putting it closer to that, it's more bright than if it was like way down here on the ground or way out by the edges, right? So way out here, it's darker. The other types of lights that you can do are also called, so there's spotlight. And a spotlight is what it says it is. It's the spotlight. So it creates a cone of light. And so if we put it to the bottom, that points it down. And we can see what that range looks like there. So it creates just a spotlight. So that means something above this light would not be lit up, right? So we can see that this light is not lit up because it's above the spotlight. Make the spotlight block visible. But as we go below the spotlight, now it has light on it. So just something to consider. And then our last light is called a surface light. And so a surface light, similar to a spotlight, it casts light in a specific direction, but instead of a circle, it casts as a box. And the other thing is that you can actually change the angle of that box to make that box flatter or smaller as it goes further out. And so you can see when I push that way out to 60, the way that box is changes pretty drastically. And then you also push it on a face. So if we do bottom, it will actually point down. And as we change our angle, you can see how much more it lights up. So you can do whatever lights you want, and the lighting system will automatically grab these lights and use them, and we'll toggle them on and off as the nighttime toggles on and off. And the only other thing of note that works in Dirt, if you want to go the extra mile, is the Dirt light systems. So if you take these lights and you put them in your racetrack, these will automatically work with the flag system. So these will turn green and yellow and red and do all the animations. So the old style lights, the traditional lights, these simply go red, yellow, green, and then similar here it goes red, yellow, green. The new style lights, these have flashing pieces in them. So when the yellow comes out, all these lights go yellow at the same time, and this one will flash together, and this one will be turned off during the time that these two are on, and then these two will turn off, this one will turn on, so it'll flash animation back and forth. As well as when it goes green, all these lights will become green. When it goes red, all these lights become red. So that is how that works out there. If you are a owner of a track or a host, you can check out the caution lights info sheet, which will tell you exactly what every type of piece does, so you can create your own versions of these. We also have these stick lights that people like to put on the fencing to create yellow fence lights. So you can use these whatever way you want. They will automatically work. Put these everywhere. The other light we also have is the Whelen light, which has the Whelen style of lighting. So the big thing here with the Whelen light is it has a separate yellow zone versus a green zone and red zone. This is exactly how Whelen lights work in real life. Now, most notably, actually, sorry, this is the wrong GIF, because, well, I guess it's the only GIF to show. Notably, that yellow color that you saw is not actually that yellow color. It's actually this amber color. We've switched this over more recently, so it's no longer this bright yellow. It's this amber yellow instead. But you can put these around the place as well. Shout out to Biff for these Whelen lights because pieced them together based on his old Colarius lights. So still give him a little bit of a shout out for that, even though I did piece this together from his model. He didn't make this model directly. And that is officially everything that you need to know about putting a track in Dirt Free Play and getting it ready to go and doing all that jazz. I know that's a long video detailing it all, but that is the final steps. And then you would simply turn it into a model by right-clicking and saving to Roblox. And you would change it to model, and you'd set it up. Now, in future cases, after you set it up and it's in-game and it's working and all that, If you're already a host, you would already know this. If you're trying to upload these tracks as a free play track and get my approval, for future reference, every time that you want to update the track, want to make some changes, you will right click it and go to save it, but you won't make a new model like this. You will hit overwrite an existing asset, find your model, click it, save over it, and then it will automatically import in game. So you don't have to ask me to update the track for you. You don't have to say, here's a new model, please take it. You just keep overwriting the same model over and over again, and it'll keep showing up in game. And that is a big part of the Dirt NASCAR systems, is the ability to overwrite your model in game after the first time I set it up. So that is everything in Dirt / NASCAR. This also works for NASCAR, just without the dirt layer part. Yeah, I think that is my tutorial for 2024 into 2025. How to do the tracks. Woo! Okay, goodbye.